Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Wednesday, March 18th, 2009. Well, we're seeing a little bit of a whipsaw action today ahead of the Federal Reserve FOMC policy statement today at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And what we're really seeing is continued strength on financials while the oil plays and the energy plays are pulling back. And you're seeing oil pull back a little bit today, down slightly. You're seeing gold sell off today pretty nicely, down $25. So the commodities are selling off today. But on the other side, the financials like Citigroup, AIG, Freddie and Fannie, both all up huge today, and I'm going to show you a couple charts, but I want to really focus in on what the key trend lines are to watch in this afternoon session on the intraday 10-minute chart of the SPY. Now, what we're seeing today, the Dow is lower by 55 points, the NASDAQ is up about 6.5 points bucking the trend, and the S&P 500 down about 1.5 points. And that's really what we're seeing here, folks. This is the key. You're seeing strength in technology, Apple Computer up $1.50 on the day, while the plays like energy really lagging and bringing down the market, holding the market down, the Dow and the S&P lower, even though financials are rallying. Goldman Sachs up about 30 cents on the day, very minor upside on Goldman today. But the real thing is going on here is Bank of America. Citigroup up 50 cents to $3, got as high as $3.40 about. Wells Fargo up 60 cents. AIG, let me show you AIG's chart. Huge move from 90 cents, went as high as $1.45 up here. This is the AIG intraday 10-minute chart. FRE, huge move as well from 55 cents, saw a high of 75 cents. Almost, it's weird, but it's almost, what you're seeing here is basically the nationalized banks and financials are the ones running today, as weird as that sounds. And a lot of people would say, well, why are they running? Well, I think the fact of the matter is there's a ton of shorts in them. I think the shorts, this is a lot of short covering you're seeing today in these plays, because let's face it, the government does look like they have a small handle. I don't necessarily believe them, but they're coming out very confident, and we'll get more information from the Federal Reserve today as well. Now let's go back to the SPY chart and really see what's going on today. Now you can see you have your trend lines in this intraday chart. Here's your 20 moving average in yellow, your 50 in white, and in green down here, light green I should say, or this faint green, is your 200 intraday moving average. Now the big thick line I've drawn in here is a major trend line that you guys have to be watching for the afternoon session. Alright, I showed you this on yesterday's chart. Yesterday I showed you in your intraday video how this hadn't been broken yet. It never broke, and that gives you a constant upside bias. Until this line breaks, you have to have an upside bias in this market. We've just been seeing that upside. So once this breaks and we get a confirmation, remember, confirmation requires a close below the closing low of the previous candle that closes below here. So one close below won't signal the deal, won't sign the deal here. You need a secondary break of that low or close below that low to really set off the motion of the sell-off. I think could be on the horizon here. All right, there's a lot of signals I'm showing. I'll even show you the XLF a little bit later. But what you're seeing again, folks, this trend line. Now, I drew it in pre-video because it stretches all the way back here. Look at how far this line goes back. Days and days and days. Actually, about a week and a half to the low on the gap up on 310. You connect that to the low on 312 right here, and just scan it all the way up, and it sure enough comes into play yesterday at the lows and today at the lows right here. Now there's a secondary trend line you need to watch which could signal a coming test of that line, and that what you're going to do is take the very low of this candle, extend it to the secondary low right there, and just draw it right up. And what you're seeing here, so connecting this low to this exact low, and they're actually getting this print here, and this point here, and then all the way up. So this would be an indicator that you're going to test this low if you could break this one. It's not the end-all, be-all, because this green line's really the monster. It stretches the most amount of days back. But nonetheless, this secondary pink one that I just drew in is very important. Now let's start talking about some other patterns in this market. First of all, you have to go through the highs and the lows on the charts. Highs from yesterday, lows from yesterday, draw those in your chart. This is how you do trendline analysis, folks. This is what we teach in our nightly videos and our nightly research center, and we give great guidance avoiding all the Wall Street hype on the daily charts, the weekly charts, to really give you a broader view. But this is just a little sample of what we do on an intraday basis. For those of you that are interested in joining our research center, we do encourage you to. It will be a life-changing event. Now take that high, just draw it right above. Well, look at that. So all of a sudden you have your resistance points for this market, or if those of you that are scalp shorters out there on an intraday basis, and again, this works on your daily chart, so if you have a daily chart like this, that would be a short for the coming day, but nonetheless, you hit the high here, from here, exact highs, sell off. Hitting it here again, selling off. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to eventually break to the upside. Remember, the rule is the more times it hits the upside, the more likely it could break. So we've only hit it around twice now, and the question would be then, is the third, fourth, fifth hit eventually going to break it? And we'll have to watch. Now, what you do have here is this pink trend line rising, and this one straight. Eventually, towards the end of today, these two could come together, and you will break one way or the other, no doubt about it. But remember, if you break lower, you have this major green trend line to come into play first of all. That's going to be major resistance. It's basically coinciding with the 50 moving average here on the 10-minute intraday SPY. All right, now let's talk about some other levels you want to test, all right? First of all, let's take the secondary pivot from yesterday. See this pivot before the pullback, and then you went higher to the highs of the day right into the close? You want to take that secondary high and just draw it across. And look at that, all right? First of all, you have your gap up area right here. You gapped up, or excuse me, you gapped lower on this market. Excuse me again. You gapped lower on this market. And where did you gap to? This exact print. What happened? As soon as you broke below it, you saw a sell-off all the way down to this green trend line and this pink trend line, which, again, you can find this green one going all the way back to March 10th, and this one just from yesterday's lows, and you can see how you came right down to... So, again, just using that pivot point, you knew you were going to get a sell-off as soon as you got below there. If you were above here, you'd look for the highs to be retested, just like here when you broke out, you got a retest of the highs. But as long as you're below it, you look for a sell-off. You see you get a little bit of a pause on the 20 moving average, continued sell-off to this trend line, these two trend lines, and then you bounce, retest that line, sell off again. Notice how you do twice. So once, twice, then on the third time you break out, and where do you go? Right to the highs of the day. Okay? So keep that in motion there and understand that. Very, very important. First of all, you get your second test of this high. First, you'll get a pullback. Third test of the high, pullback. So again, notice the theme here, guys. You can use your trendline analysis to really focus in on everything that's going on in this market. It will give you your highs. It will give you your lows. All right? Very, very intricate stuff. Very important things as well. And again, I can't stress it enough how much you have to know this kind of trendline analysis. This is, again, what we go over. And one other side note, folks, we have the webinar this Saturday where we go over our entire methodology on technical analysis. Pricing, pattern, times. If you really need to know, and again, some of this stuff I know goes over a lot of your heads out there. If you really want to learn it, you got to join the webinar. That's where we really can teach the nitty-gritty stuff. How do you know about a bull flag, bear flag, bottoming tail, topping tail, in spirit of bull flag, in spirit of bear flag, M pattern, A pattern, WV patterns. All that stuff we talk about and go over in depth, plus some key proprietary breakdown calculations and target calculations to know. All right, again, that's our webinar this Saturday, March 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now let's go over some more of this chart. All right, next what you want to do is obviously start taking some low prints from yesterday's chart, and what you want to do is when you want to notice is see this low here? It basically matches up with this high. You know that if we do break down below this 50 and this green trend line, that would generally be where you're going to go. So again, what you want to do is take that line, all right, and just draw it right across. And again, should actually do that a little more accurate because it needs to be. You want to draw from the exact high, right there, and right across, and you see it basically touches the lows from that pivot point yesterday. And that's, again, you have to keep that on your chart. When you're coming down, when you're above here and you're coming down here, not only did you have a necktie here on the chart, but you had this trend line support from this point, this pivot point. Look at how amazing that support point is, and what does it do? It shoots the market up yesterday afternoon. Insanely important stuff, guys. Can't stress it enough. All right? So again, these are your basic trend lines to watch. What you want to do is actually extend this line here because it's going to be support. Remember, just like here when you broke above this point and came back down, that was support. Same thing happens here. You finally broke above it. If you sell off, this line will be support again. Not a huge support line, but it'll be a support. But again, ultimately, this green one's the one you're watching, which matches up to your 50 moving average. Can't stress that enough, guys. This area right here, if we break below it, I think you come right to here and possibly continue to sell off maybe tomorrow or the next day to this 200 moving average, wherever it may be, okay? So watch that level. Let's go to the 60-minute quickly before we end this video, folks. Notice the high print here. You're into major resistance. This is all major resistance up here. If we break above it, you could have a leg up nicely. We'll talk about the target of this breakout in our nightly video tonight to our premium subscribers. The traders that really want to become the elite traders are those. The investors that want to become elite investors are in that research center with us. Again, join the webinar, folks. Join the research center. You will be happy, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.